Morning, guys. Today is Monday, May 18th, and we are starting a new story called Jose Born to Dance. So we are going to review the vocabulary. We will read the story together, and you are going to practice using the vocabulary at the end. Turn in this assignment on Teams. So our objective is I can acquire and use vocabulary. I can listen to fluent reading. Okay, so it's called Jose Born to Dance. It's by Susan Reich, illustrated by Raul Colon. Our essential question is, what does it take to be a great performer? So a performer could be a dancer. A performer can be anybody that's on stage, like a comedian, an actor, right? So if you've ever gone to a play, somebody who acts. So a performer is somebody who puts on a presentation for an audience, and an audience is a group of people who are watching something. So our first vocabulary word is debut. It's a noun. It's a first public appearance as a performer. So a lot of times you might hear this word related to maybe musicians, right? Because musicians are performers, and they have their debut album, which means it's like the first time that they've ever come out. So in our story, Jose's dance debut was scary because he felt nervous knowing that the entire audience would be watching him. So he's never danced in front of people before, so it's his debut. Next word, stubborn. It's an adjective. I think Mr. DiMeola likes to refer to Mrs. DiMeola as stubborn all the time. It means unyielding or difficult to deal with. I usually get stubborn when I don't get my way, but that's a whole other story. So as Jose learned to dance, the work was hard as he struggled with his stiff, stubborn body. That means that maybe he wasn't used to the way that he had to do the dances. So stubborn means, like, when he's referring to his body, that maybe his body didn't bend the right way, or he couldn't do the action when dancing the right way. So when you're not agreeable, usually you're referred to as stubborn. Permission, it's a noun, means consent granted by someone in authority. So your parents are in authority, so they have to give me permission to take you on a field trip, and that's usually they sign a document that says that I have permission. For 2 years, Jose's family waited for permission to enter the United States. Okay, so I think based on that sentence, we know that Jose isn't from America. He's from somewhere else. So he had to have permission to come to the U.S. And usually that's with a visa or some type of green card or something. Because when you're from another country, you can't just come here. You can visit with a plane ticket, or if you're coming to stay for a while, you need something called a visa or a green card. Okay, hauling is our word, but haul is the main word. It's a verb. Hauling is a form of the word haul. ing is the ending. It means to move from one place to another, as with a truck, right? So if you're moving, usually you're hauling your belongings down to a new house. In this situation, in New York City, Jose took a job as a janitor, scooping ashes out of a coal furnace and hauling garbage cans to the curb. That means pulling or moving garbage cans to one place or another, right? Usually haul a box or equipment, something like that. So that's a verb. It's an action. Mournful. It's an adjective. It means feeling, showing, or causing grief or sadness, right? Usually the base word of mournful is mourn. Full is your ending, your suffix. Jose's family took the train to Nogales, and while they traveled, they heard a mournful song being played on an accordion. Mournful song refers to maybe like a sad song, right? Usually you're mournful if something bad happens because you feel sad. Towered, it's a verb. Base word is tower. Our suffix is ed. It means to rise very high. In New York City, the lights in the buildings towered above him because they were so tall. Triumph, it's a noun. The fact of being victorious. When Jose heard the thundering applause from the audience, his spirits lifted and he felt exultation, humility, and triumph. Okay, that's being, proud but humble, but triumphant as in victorious. Discouraged, less hopeful or enthusiastic. So based on this picture, the guy has a guitar. He's a little discouraged. Maybe he's having a hard time writing a new song. Maybe he's having a hard time, he's learning guitar and he can't manage to move his fingers the right way to play the notes correctly, so he's feeling a little discouraged, like he wants to give up. While Jose was in New York City, he felt discouraged because he missed his family, right? He felt like, I'm here alone, I'm doing these dancing skills and it's just not working and I feel really sad and maybe I should just give up and I miss my family, so that's kind of like, it shows how he feels. Toward is our word. Toward is the base word and ed is our suffix. It means to go on tour, right? So usually you hear this when it's related to famous people in music. Usually they have a tour, so they perform, put on concerts in different locations, so a lot of times Maroon 5 goes on tour and Mrs. DeMiola tries to buy tickets, but obviously with COVID-19, that's not happening anymore. Eventually, Jose became a world-famous choreographer and toured the world with his own dance company, right? So that means that he traveled around the world with his own dance company putting on performances. Border, it's a noun. We've actually had this vocabulary word before. We had it, I believe, in 3rd grade when we talked about, I think the story was tops and bottoms. A border is the line where one area ends and another one begins, right? So the border of Mexico and the United States, Mexico ends and the United States begins. Jose's family waited at the border to cross into the United States to get away from the Civil War and to have new economic opportunities. All right, so we're going to read the story. If you don't want to listen to me read or you want to access the story later on your own, you can click this link. It actually brings you to the textbook. You have to click the arrow here and download it. Okay, if you didn't see that arrow, I'll circle it for you. All right, it was just here. So there it is. So click the arrow and download the textbook, and that way you can always access it at home. Go ahead and erase that. All right, so if you need to get that textbook, that's where you can find it, so you don't have to keep logging into Think Central. It makes it available for you. All right, so Jose Born to Dance. This is a biography, okay? And a biography, if you remember, is a story that's based on real things. I apologize, that's my dog in the background with a squeaky toy, so let me move. So a biography is based on real events. In 1908, a baby boy was born in Culalcan, Mexico, kicking like a roped steer. Bam, bam, bam. His name was Jose Limon. When Jose was a toddler, Mama used to take him to his grandmother's house for breakfast. The pet canary sang to him while he ate. Trillia wheat, trillia wheat. Surrounded by flowers, Jose feasted on mango and papaya, pineapple and banana, sweet rolls and eggs. His mouth watered as his grandmother whisked the hot chocolate with her molinia. Okay. As I read, some of the words may not be so great, so just bear with me. When the hot chocolate was cool enough to drink, Jose gulped it down. I think we can all relate to a great breakfast. Sometimes Papa took Jose to the theater where Papa worked as a musician. Jose loved to watch the dancers on the stage. The can-can dancers lifted their petticoats and kicked their legs. Ooh la la! The flamenco dancers flipped their skirts and clicked their heels. See, see, see! The ballet dancers leaped into the air, raising their arms high above their heads. They seemed to fly. Ah! One afternoon, Papa took Jose to the Corrida de Toros. In the bullfight ring, a torero swirled his red cloak to anger the black bull. Ole, ole, ole! The bull pawed the ground. It ran straight toward the bullfighter, its head down and its eyes ablaze. Jose gripped Papa's hand. Later that night, when Mama tucked Jose into bed, her sweet voice echoed in the darkness. Sora, Sora, so, Sora, so. That night, Jose dreamed of the bullfight. One spring day when Jose was 5, he saw government soldiers marching in the streets. A civil war had broken out in Mexico. So if Jose was born in 1908 and now he's 5, the year would be 1913. So in 1913, there was a civil war that broke out in Mexico. Jose slung a stick over his shoulders and marched through the house. Uno, dos, The next day at breakfast, shots rang out. The rebels had attacked their town. Surrounded by fighting, Jose's family hid in the cellar for 3 days and 3 nights. Months passed, and the war raged on. Safety lay across the border in the United States. Perhaps Papa could find a job there. Jose's family took a train to Nogales, close to the border. Soldiers sat on the top of the train, their guns at the ready. The train crawled through the hot desert. As the sun set, Jose heard the sound of an accordion, a slow, mournful song. Oh, sonidor. For 2 years, Jose and his family lived in Nogales, waiting for permission to enter the United States. Finally, Papa's work permit arrived, stamped with an official seal. They packed their bags and set out across the northern frontier. Adios, Mexico! At Jose's new school, the children gathered around the teacher to read aloud from their books. When Jose read, the other children laughed at his poor English. At first, Jose cried. Then he stamped his foot in fierce determination. Pum! I will learn this language better than any of you, he said to himself, though it seemed nearly impossible. But within 3 years, Jose could speak English with confidence. He was quick to learn new words and translate for Mama wherever she went. Carmesí, radiante, liberación. Crimson, radiant, liberation. By 6th grade, Jose had become known for his colorful drawings. Among his many younger brothers and sisters, he was famous for his pictures of trains. Everyone thought he would become an artist, but Jose loved music too. As a teenager, he practiced the piano at all hours of the day and night. When his fingers flew, his spirit soared. After Jose finished high school in Los Angeles, Mama became very sick. When she died, sadness lay on Jose's heart. So now he's in America, right? They escaped the civil war that's in Mexico. When he was 5, that happened. So they stayed in that one town for, I think they said 2 years. So now he's 7. So Los Angeles is found in California. So it sounds as if they crossed the border and they went to Los Angeles, and that's where they settled, and his father got a job. And now, if he's in high school and he finished high school, he's probably around 17 or 18 years old. He went to work in a factory. All day long, he took tiles from one wheelbarrow and loaded them into another. At night, he dreamt of paintings and drawings. He dreamt of living in New York among the artists. But he didn't know if Papa could manage without him. Jose waited and brooded and argued with himself. Finally, after a year, he made up his mind. "Papa," he announced, "I'm going. Adios, Jose, farewell." He headed east across the continent, 2,462 miles. When Jose reached New York, the shimmering city towered above him, marble, stone, brick, and steel. Jose floated down the sidewalk. He would become a great artist. Un artista grandioso y magnifico. He would fill his sketchbooks with drawings like none the world had ever seen. He took a job as a janitor, scooping ashes out of a coal furnace and hauling garbage cans to the curb. But as winter wore on, a cold loneliness settled over Jose. He missed his family far away in sunny California. Discouraged, he wandered the halls of the great museums, Moynihan, Renoir, and Picasso. He thought, perhaps they had already painted everything. His drawings would never compare. The music in his heart fell silent. New York is a cemetery, he said, a jungle of stone. Jose put away his drawings. He felt sad and lost. How could he be an artist without an art? He wanted to give a gift to the world, but he didn't know what it could be. One day, Jose's friend Charlotte invited him to a dance concert. The dancer twisted his body and leaped into the air. Aye! The dance lit a fire in Jose's soul. Ideas exploded in his mind. I do not want to remain on this earth unless I can learn to do what this man is doing, he said. A few days later, Jose stepped into a dance studio for the first time. As soon as the pianist began to play, the sound of the music carried Jose away. He swooped, he stretched, he swirled, and then he flew. Ah! I embraced the dance. La danza ser mi vida. From then on, Jose took classes from teachers Doris Humphrey and Charles Wiedemann. Nearly every day, dripping with sweat, he struggled with his stiff and stubborn body, and at night he hobbled home, his muscles sore and aching. 6 weeks later, he made his debut. Performing for the first time, as he waited to go on stage, he felt shy and nervous. All those people in the audience would be watching him. But once he heard the thundering applause, his spirits lifted. That night, I tasted undreamed of exultation, humility, and triumph, he said. Ankles and feet, knees and hips, chest and arms, head and neck, up and down and back and forth and in and out, Jose Limon became a dancer. For 11 years, Jose studied and danced with Doris and Charles. He learned to make his muscles sing. He learned to move his bones every which way. He learned to flow and float and fly through space with steps smooth as silk. He learned to be fierce like a bullfighter, ole! Strong like a soldier, uno, dos, and proud like a king, pum! He learned to make dances sweet as bird songs. Trillia wheat, hot as the desert sun, si, sad as broken dreams, oh, sonador. Loving as a mother's lullaby floating on a Mexican breeze, sora, so. In time, Jose became a world-famous choreographer and toured the globe with his own dance company. For 40 years, with bare feet and broad shoulders, he graced the concert stage. From New York to Mexico City and London to Buenos Aires, He danced for presidents and princesses, builders and bricklayers, bankers and bus drivers, fiddlers and firemen. And each night before the curtain rose, he whispered to himself, "Make me strong so I can give." Bravo, bravo, bravo. Okay, so that is the end of the story. Like I said, it's a biography. It's about somebody who actually went through a civil war in Mexico with their family. They fled to a safer place in the United States, which is very common because the United States was free. We had a freedom that other places didn't have. And we still have some of those freedoms today. So he tried to discover himself and realized that he was a dancer, and he worked and worked and he persevered even when he wanted to give up. So now you are going to write the letter of the word from the word bank and match it to the definition. So you have the definitions: boundary, determined, feeling hopeless, taller than others, to allow something to succeed, first public appearance, feeling sad, carry, moving, took a sightseeing trip, okay? So you're going to match the letter and write the letter in the box. You'll click on the box and you'll enter the answer in there. Don't type the full word. You need to write the letter of the word next to the definition. When you're done, you'll click in the box and you'll use one of the words to fill in the sentence and complete the sentence properly. When you're done, you are going to turn this in. And that is your assignment for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post it on the team's writing page. No, I'm sorry, the team's reading page. Have a great day, guys. Have a marvelous Monday.